Two boys from the Bronx with opinions on everything. Candid conversations about day-to-day life. The only question now is, are you with the shits?
You know I'm with the shits.
Cheer. It's your boy Smizzy-Teddy.
It's your boy Teddy Rocks is popping.
It's with the Shits podcast, episode 21.
Yes, sir.
Teddy, what's the deal, my guy?
Yo, man, everything is good, my guy. How you been, bro?
Chilling, man. Like I be telling niggas all the time, they gotta mind their business and stop clout chasing that North Carolina nigga learned the hard way.
Yo, I have no problem about how anything went down.
Nigga was out here with his asshole out, and that's why y'all niggas gotta wear belts, man. In case y'all niggas get knocked out, B. You ain't out here with your fucking drawers out and shit.
And you know what? So whack too, like you clout chasing fools. Like after you get beat up, you don't get to be like, look at my face. No,
Yeah,
you don't
get to just keep talking.
You don't get you're done. You got knocked the fuck out. Go home. Like go sit down. Like stop. Yo, clout chasers, you gotta start running on folks, man. Stop. People not playing.
Was like, I don't even understand why niggas still be fucking with the baby like that. Like,
yeah, he about that life. Like he not
really
playing.
Out here knocking niggas out, body niggas if he have to, and y'all niggas still fucking
Like
with this
stop
nigga.
playing
like,
with that dude, bro. Like,
and I actually fuck with his music. First time I ever heard of the nigga though was when he caught the body in Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know nothing about that nigga before that. And I'm like, yo, who the fuck is this nigga running around bodying niggas? Like, and I started looking, I'm like, oh, this shit nigga nice. Like,
and
you know
he
what I'm saying?
nice,
Like,
right? So like, stop playing with him, bro.
Yeah.
Like he told him, yo, go buy your shit, bro. Yo, for real, like, yo, if y'all in the store, you see, go buy your shit, bro. Leave niggas alone. Stop running up on niggas, bro.
Could be billionaires. You see your man Hove. They gotta put in that work though too. You see your man Hove.
Yo, man,
That nigga move quiet. I only heard maybe like 2 or 3 stories of that nigga. In some
first of all,
when he was young,
when they broke down like the numbers of everything he was doing, maybe 3 of them I knew about. He's just quietly making some quiet money on the Lilo, the first hip hop billionaire. That's what's up, man. That means our genre is doing something.
Man. Salute the Hove, B. You know what I mean? Gotta know where to put the bread at, move it around.
Facts.
And, you know what I mean? He's just a hustler, so, but, you know, shout out to Hove. Niggas is right behind him. I'm surprised, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure Dre or,
yeah, Dre's not gonna do
maybe
for
Diddy.
sure.
Diddy shouldn't be too far behind either, no?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not counting niggas' pockets, right?
So I don't really know. But
I'm only gonna assume.
I'm like, that's what's up, though.
Right, yeah. So
That's
shout out to
what's
the
up.
whole man, first hip hop billionaire. We take it.
Yeah, we definitely take that one. And I haven't checked it out yet, but everybody's been talking about that Netflix special when they see us. I'm gonna have to check it out. But you said you have.
Yes, I'm on my 3rd watch.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about it.
I mean, of course, I assume most people know the story of the Central Park 5 young, Black African American Hispanic kids got wrongfully accused of a rape and attempted murder of a white woman, of course. Went to jail between 6 to 15 years between them, and no evidence, like nothing tying them to this. And it's about their story. So what I like about it,
it's a series or
it's like a mini series kind of thing, like 4 episodes.
Okay.
So I think they're each about like an hour and 20 each.
Okay.
And the reason why I like it is because there was a documentary out that came out maybe 2015, 14. So what that documentary did, it just did like the documentary side of things. Like they did like about New York during that time, police, the justice system, and about their case. This story really gives you who they were, who they are, and what they went through during those years of their incarceration. And I think that Ava DuVernay, she's just nice with the shit. So it's like, it's a good series, man. And they got people in their feelings, bro.
All right, well, that's always a good thing. No, for real, niggas gotta get in their feelings because that's when niggas start talking about shit. So
that's true.
But what are we talking about tonight?
Yo, man,
what do we got for them tonight?
We're gonna dive into the criminal justice system, man. The whole I want to call it corruption on the way, people of color are treated when it comes to quote unquote, the law and how it's fair. You know what I mean? But
all right, well, episode 21, man. Let's do it.
Our criminal justice system kind of ties in and goes kind of back to the whole quote unquote them abolishing slavery, the 13th Amendment, how I feel like the prison system is still kind of ran on some slavery shit, because if you see the numbers of who's in prison, who's in jail, who's getting mistreated, are people of color. You know, I think that we as a society need to. That's why I'm glad that the whole Meek Mill thing happened. I think it's time for us to really knock on the door, like really start studying the criminal justice system, and and we need to start holding DAs and judges accountable. Everyone is held accountable for the jobs when they mess up, and for some reason, police, judges, DAs, they make a mistake. It's like, all right, you know, that's just one, but it's not just one; it's plenty. And I think that we need to look at that whole system as a whole. So I'm down for the whole reform. What do you think?
I agree. You know what I mean? And I think it's a little bit more than just holding people accountable for doing their job wrong. And I'm not going to say 9 out of 10 times that was me about to be biased. But a lot of the time they do get it wrong, but a lot of the time they're just enforcing fucked up laws. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it goes really beyond just the people that's enforcing them. It's like the laws that were set in play.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So until that gets rectified, there's really nothing else that's going to happen, because they're always just going to say they're playing by the law.
Right.
And the law was never meant for us, because that's what you got to understand. So
right. I was watching this it's like a little docu-series where I believe it was the New Yorker, they did like a little video series, and they interviewed anybody who's ever came in contact with the criminal justice system, whether it was like you went to jail, someone that you knew went to jail, or something happened to you and the person went to jail. So they kind of touched on everybody's life, in like police. Okay. And so one part that kind of caught my eyes when they talked to a dude who was a DA who got promoted to be a judge, and he said that he used to, when it comes to sentencing, he on the DA side was like not a big deal, but now it was him doing the actual sentencing, sitting on the opposite side and watching, you know, the people that he affected by the time he's about to give people. He said it is a different feeling I think a lot of judges should understand like the law, the sentencing that they're putting on these people, and we have to find a way to where we could, like you said, mend those laws. Like, yo, a dude shouldn't be in jail for like 3 years for marijuana or possession, or, you know what I mean? It's like these laws got to be touched on. Like,
I mean, they just have to be written, because everything is just written. All the laws are just written with too much room for interpretation. Right. Everything is written with so much gray area. Right. So you now as the judge are in your fair right to decide how much of this time or this time I should give you. Like, why is there such a big gap in the amount of time you can have for sentencing? And you know what I'm saying? Why is there such leniency on when that shit is actually being used? Right. Like,
it also comes to, when it comes to sentencing and those going before a judge, as we all know, I mean, we're not fools to it. Black, Hispanic, males and females are getting the harsher end of the stick. Like, we're getting the especially when it comes to violent crime, we're doing the hardest time than a white person. How come all the laws aren't the same across the board? Like murder, if murder is this, then this should be the time, regardless of what it is, of who it is. And I just don't understand how that doesn't equate everywhere. And how come, you know, one person does a murder here, he's doing like 5 to 6 years, but this black kid does a murder here he got 25 to 30. Like, how does that happen? Why is it not even across the board?
I mean, because we know why it's not even across the board, because the system was not meant for us. You got to remember, right? It was like in 65-ish, I believe, is when they started to air quote end the Jim Crow laws and shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you think because they stopped there, they about to just let us do what we supposed to do? Now they got to find a new way to inject these different type of things, because like you alluded to with the 13th Amendment, you know what I'm saying? You're free until you're convicted of a crime. You know what I'm saying? So they have to enact these different ways where they can keep us in slavery. That's why the prison reform system and the whole criminal justice system is the new Jim Crow. And I forget the fucking lady that wrote the book. That shit is awesome. I have that shit upstairs. I'll let you hold it. But the new Jim Crow, like, you know what I'm saying? They talk all about that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just the same system that's just constantly repeated with a different name, different title slapped on it. You know what I'm
but
saying?
that's so weird that it's so blatant. We all see it. Can we start the plan to like, yo, this is what y'all are doing. This is what we see. This is what we know. Why is it that we can't have like a way of changing it?
I mean, we have to put ourselves and, you know what I mean? Not just ourselves, because we can't do that shit alone. You know what I'm saying? But we have to put ourselves and our allies in positions of power where they can rewrite and overturn certain things. You know what I'm saying? Until we do that, we're just really spinning the wheels. Like, you know what I'm saying? We nip certain things at the bud and we can accomplish certain things. So I'm not saying the efforts and the time and the stuff that people are doing now is a waste of time. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know what I'm saying? But we can get a whole lot more accomplished if we get position on the inside.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know that's easier said than done, but until we do that, I don't see any other way that we're even going to get a chance to.
Of course, we can do the whole, you know, the march thing, the whole. But you know what's funny? I love the whole social media aspect of it. How everyone, if something happens, everyone gets the hashtagging and all that nonsense.
I mean, that's cute.
Because think about it. Because I mean, you haven't seen the when they see us yet, but the lady, the DA, who was trying the case. After everyone saw this movie, they was at her. She done already resigned from a board that she was on. They coming for her books. Like, so if we can do all of that to a person, why can't we do this to get these laws changed? When it comes to us in the criminal justice system, I think a lot of us just really don't know our rights as a whole. Like, we don't know when we should speak, what should we speak about. Like, and it comes from, I mean, watching that doc, I mean, that miniseries really put a lot of things in perspective. It's like, it's the weirdest thing where you have, like, if you had a son, he's a black kid in America, bro. You got to teach him about the law at 4. You can't even teach him to be a kid anymore. You got to teach him about, when you get stopped by a cop, don't say this, don't do that, don't do this. He's a kid. So it's like, so for black kids, they got to grow up super early. So it's like, should we be drilling the laws on them so young?
It all depends on what type of life and shit your kids are gonna have. I didn't have no interaction with the cops until I was old. Like, I was in the house. If I was in the house, I was in the yard, I was with my people. There was no interaction with me and the police. I didn't have to get drilled any of that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, everybody that's not fucking blessed was able to grow up like me, and everybody can't. So niggas is not gated, and like, I didn't like it, but it was cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's not gated and everybody's not like that. So some people do have interaction with the cops that young. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It all depends on.
So, but even if though, I hear what you're saying, but even if at that point, we're still black, right? At the end of the day, right? So yeah, me and you saying like we had to be home by like 7 o'clock, and like none of that funny business. Like,
I was out in the street. I was getting dropped off to school and picked up. So I have no interaction with. Until I was out, like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have to get that conversation, but when I actually did start moving around and being out, it's like, yo, listen, but by then you already know what it is, like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I wasn't in, if they told me all of that, they could have taught me and drilled that, but it wouldn't have mattered because I wasn't, you understand what I'm saying?
Right, no, I hear you.
But
so then my question to you on that side is, when you, for your first interaction with an officer, did you know how did you feel? Did you feel like you kind of prepared for whatever was going to happen? Like, how did you feel your first interaction? I
don't think anybody's ever prepared for your interaction with the police, because you don't know what the fuck is going to happen on their end. You can be perfect on your side, and you can do everything that your air quote's supposed to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not an asshole. I know niggas get fucked up. I'm listening to what you're saying as long as you're not violating my shit. Like, right. Like, you know what I mean?
Because it's the craziest thing, how it can go from a conversation with a police officer to in jail for 6 years. It's just crazy how that, so that large gap from when you speak to an officer to your court date, there's something, this middle needs changing. This whole middle needs addressing.
I mean, but there has to be something going on for that. You know, I'm not with them niggas, but it's not just like you're gonna have a conversation and just unless them niggas is just dirty and putting shit on you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not just gonna have a conversation. Right. I understand you're watching the doc, so that's what you're going off of. But we're just talking about regular interactions. Like, I hate them niggas and all of that shit. Yeah, I might get jammed up for a couple hours or something like that, but I'm not getting lost just for a conversation. Like,
but that's crazy. You shouldn't even get jammed, especially if you're doing anything. Like, I was saying, like, it can, at that moment, it could take a turn for the worse. You don't know which route it can go. So at the point of, I'm saying, like, a conversation with a police officer should never turn to the fact that I should feel like my civil liberty is about to be.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. There's a gap here that where they feel like people are not knowing what they are allowed to do in this space for that not to happen to you. And I think that we as black people in general, I hate to say the fact that we really have to just know what our rights are. Never speak out of term. Like, don't say anything. Like, there was a dude on that same doc I was watching about, I told you about. He said he hates the term every cop is not a bad cop. He said he hates that. And he's a police officer who said that. He said that doesn't make sense to me because if there are bad apples, then we need to weed them out. Mm-hmm. So if there's a bad cop, so let's get them out of here. Mm-hmm. And that's the shit I'm talking about. Like, there's that gap. All right, so if me, like you said, if you had an interaction with a cop, yo, just come to me to the fucking precinct. All of a sudden, they putting these charges on you, and you say something that you ain't supposed to say. Here you go. You headed the records out, and that's nuts. And I think that's a part of the whole criminal justice that I just don't understand. How can people go from one position of not doing anything, or have anything, or not committing any crimes, and next thing you know, I'm heading to jail?
I mean, what they say, ignorance of the law is not. Ignorance of the law is not something like. You know,
I know my dad says
just because you don't know that shit don't mean nothing. Like, because you don't know. Like,
I don't know, man. I think, and to double back to the whole criminal justice thing, our incarceration rates are out of control. Out of control, and I get why it's like that because now they've made prison business. Mm-hmm. That's big. I heard. I don't know if this is true or not, but you may know because you play with stocks. I heard there's jails that are on the stock market.
Yeah, don't quote me, but it's billions of dollars worth of business in the fucking jails. Like,
so that's why. It's a whole full circle thing where we have to start knocking it down from the bottom all the way to the top, and it starts right at the bottom with us knowing our rights, knowing who your local officials are, standing up, saying stuff, getting laws. I mean, if there's a book about the new Jim Crow laws, why are we not outraged?
Outraged, and then what? And then what after that?
I'm saying the outrage should begin the path to getting things done. Like, that's why I'm totally riding with the whole Meek Mill shit, bro. Like, I'm riding with him. Like, the whole justice reform, like, it's got to change.
No, it absolutely does.
There's no way in the world that in a matter of, I think it was from 1980 to 2015, we went from 500,000 people in prison to over 2.5 million. That's just nuts. That's almost triple the amount of people in, like, that's not even a 10-year span. Yeah, it's about 20-year span. That's nuts. So what do you think should be the moves for us to, like, start knocking on that door to, like, really getting some change in our criminal justice system?
Told you, like, we have to get people in there, so we need more people that are studying law. We need more people that are studying to rewrite laws. We need more people that are actually interested in seeing and making a change. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's not just about getting everybody all riled up and all that hoorah shit. You know what I'm saying? It's about the different relationships they can make because it's never going to be, like I said before, it's never going to be done by itself. So you have to make relationship with other people on the other side that don't agree with everything that you agree with, but you have to find some type of meeting, some type of common ground where you guys can meet, and then you can actually push different bills and stuff forward mm-hmm. that can enact changes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Unless we get people on the inside mm-hmm. and we start working with people that we normally wouldn't work with, we're mm-hmm. not going to be able to get these different things accomplished that we need to do that'll begin to start moving these bars. You know what I'm saying? It's the fucking dude, I can't remember his name, he be on CNN and shit, and he writes mad books and all of that too, black dude. A lot of people don't be fucking with that.
Van Jones?
Van Jones. like he, from what I see and the little thing that I read, I'm not gonna say and act like I'm an expert or nothing, but he puts in the work. He's one of those people that fucks with people that normally he wouldn't fuck with to get jobs and different things done. Like, you know what I'm saying? We need more people like that doing different things on the inside if we're gonna get any type of change done. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you said, you do have to know your law. I mean, you do have to know the laws. You do have to know your rights and shit. You know what I mean? But we have to make sure that we're actually putting people in place and in these positions of power that actually know the law as well and are actually going to uphold the law. You know what I'm saying? Because just because there's a loophole that you can use to hold me doesn't mean that you should. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's all about how these laws are written. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can be detained, and we live in an ID state, so you leave with no ID. Them niggas want to be dicks, they can take you to the station. When we have the fucking technology right now where if you just give them niggas your name, they can run your shit and pull you right the fuck up. But you don't have your ID, I can take you to the precinct to identify yourself. You're not under arrest, but you're detained. Like, so, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The funny thing you said too is like you said we need more people who actually want to study law. I never thought about studying law when I was in school, bro.
Never.
I never had anyone like in my immediate circle that ever like was in the criminal justice system. So I guess it didn't affect me as a whole.
Okay.
Until I got older, actually seeing like my like older friends they were going away for mad years, like, and just started to understand like, damn, like you don't really get to see it until you're in that kind of that circle. And I never thought about studying law. That's funny how you said that. Like we do need more people.
That's the only way, because we got to get these people that know the law and they want to get involved with these different things. Because if we don't have people like that, how are we going to get any changes done?
Yeah, we're not. A good portion of the shit begins with our local officials, and I can't even tell you who the Bronx president is right now.
Bronx borough president, I believe, is Ruben Diaz. I believe.
Oh, still? All right, so maybe I'm not that. It all starts there, and I think. But you know what it is too. Also. I think the majority of people don't really believe in real changing. They don't think. I think people don't think that if we did a certain thing, or actually stood behind something for a long period of time, something will get done.
I mean, because we live in this microwave era where everybody's looking for instant gratification, right? And we got to remember the world that we live in and the times that we're coming from. You know what I'm saying? So, right? At the beginning of the joint, you referenced the 13th Amendment. That was in, 1865 or some dumb shit like that, right?
Yep.
And that's right after the Civil War ended, right? Because that's why they started passing that whole group of laws. And after that, I believe it was like 68. 67, 68. I believe it was 68 where they did the 14th Amendment, which was equal citizenship. Because you remember before that we was 3/5 of a man,
right?
The whole Dred Scott shit where we were property and all of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they really only did that because all the free slaves was going to be able to be not property anymore. They was going to be able to vote. So you know what I mean? That's really why they wanted to put that in, because the free states, the slaves from the North and the South had mad slaves that was going to be free, and trying to balance the power, because it's all about bodies and representation, right? You know what I'm saying? So follow me for a second. I'm doing all of this just to make a point, right? So that was 65, from 65 then to 68, right? And then it was 69, 70 where they did the 15th Amendment, right? And the 15th was, the 13th is for abolishing slavery, the 14th is for equal citizenship, and the 15th was the right to vote. Now, I said all of that to say, that's in the 80s, right? In 1965, Jim Crow laws just stopped being stopped. So they put all of these stuff into effect that said we were equal, we can vote, we can do all of this, but then they had all these different tiny laws that prevented us from doing everything. So you see, it took, from the time they said it, a whole, what was that, what I said, 1865 up until 1965 for us to see any type of change. And we want shit to happen immediately. So we don't even see the small things that are happening and the changes that have been going on and has been being made over time. Like,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, another thing about our criminal justice system that I feel has a corrupt side about it, and of course it's unintentional, is our legal aids. These folks have about 150 cases on their lap. How in the world are they supposed to fairly help us with our case if they have 100 and some odd cases on their lap?
Because, I mean, for their defense, and I know most of the cases that come are throwaways. So they might have 100, but they might have to really work 20 or 30 of those because they're just going to plea out 70% of
Right, well, those who taking deals, right?
Yeah.
Glad you said that. So in that same doc I was telling you about from the New Yorker, they was talking to a legal aid.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the amount of people that plea out hurts him because he feels like they have no faith in going to a trial.
That's a fact.
And that's crazy to me that one dude, he was telling a story about a dude that was on his way to like a rehab center kind of thing. And he was on his way there. Got stopped by a cop. The cop said, "You smell like weed." Went in his pocket. Dude had a crack pipe. He's heading to jail, right? So he's talking to the legal aid. Was like, "Yo, bro, you violated your right. Do that. Let's fight this. But I'm gonna let you know that if you plead, Dude was like, "Yo, bro, why you start with that?" but the legal aid was like, "Yo, bro, but don't you were violated? Don't you want to fight that?" Like, nah. Let's get that plea deal up. And that's crazy.
Let's get up out of here.
But that's nuts how we have no faith in our legal system. Just none. Just zero.
And besides that, though, the legal system itself knows that they be on that bullshit and they can't even have their time tied up with half the cases that are being brought to them. Because you got to remember the whole criminal justice system, it's a system. So it's three parts. It's the police, it's the courts, and then it's the prisons.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So the courts only get what's brought to them by the police.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And yeah, and those charges out of control. I mean, just out of control.
I mean,
charges,
half the joints you come in there, if you actually sit down, like you ever had to go to court and wait to hear your name, so you hear all the bullshit that comes before you, and half the niggas that sitting there get ACDs, a conditional discharge. You get stay out of trouble for a year, 1 year ACD. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that, no, nothing. That's half all you hearing is ACD, 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 ACD. They don't got time for that shit. They don't got room for these niggas. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's crazy, bro. That's out of control. And then, right. So now you got this legal aid who is going to try to fight your case. And for those people that actually try to beat it and go to trial, 9 times out of 10 your legal aid didn't have enough time to really give you the proper time to really get the information that they needed to really fight your case. I don't know how that works for high profile cases if you have a legal aid. I don't know how that really works.
It's different, and that's why I don't, like I said, I only know one, so I'm not.
Right, I don't want to.
You know what I mean? Because some of the legal aids
I'm only going to go by what I've seen on docs and on TV. So
some of the legal aids are paid lawyers, but they have to take some jobs pro bono.
Yeah.
Some of the legal aids are just out of law school, and you know what I'm saying? So many different things. Right. So like when you just, that's why I don't like the blanket, and I'm defending these niggas like I'm one of them or something. But
no,
I mean, because it's defense and prosecution.
Yeah.
It's but the fucking legal aids, like some of they're there to do a job. It's not, you know what I mean. And I want to believe that they're doing their job to the best of their ability.
The crazy part,
you know what I mean?
You know the crazy part about it is like I know you ever heard about the Cleve Browder guy?
Yeah.
The funniest thing in that situation is where a case like that where there's really no real evidence, the dude that's accusing him point him out in the lineup but doesn't come to trial, and yet this kid sits in Rikers for 3 years waiting for an actual trial that he's trying to fight, and they keep pushing it back. Like that whole thing where they push back your trial, keep you on Rikers, like that shit right there.
He had bail though, right? Or no, he didn't have bail. He had bail.
He did for $3,000. They ain't have it.
That's fucked up, and I don't want to sound like that dude. You know what I mean? Because I already know niggas gonna kill me. But I don't want to sound like that dude.
Right, but
it shouldn't have came down there. But like I said again, it's the way the laws are written for them to be able to interpret that. Because that was the judge's decision how much bail he should have. You know what I mean? RR'd that nigga like a backpack. They should have RR'd him.
A backpack
Released on your own recognizance. They should just RR'd him, like, you know what I'm saying? But gave him bail. But he gave him bail. He didn't know bail him. Now that would have been, I would have been like,
damn, that's fucked up.
You know what I'm saying?
But in situations like that, with of course they know. I mean, of course, I'm gonna let they assume that a lot of black families aren't, you know, that don't have a lot of. So that $3,000, that's a lot of money for some folks, bro. Like some folks really just don't have that, and
that's a fact.
And then now this kid's got to sit in Rikers for 3 years to fight a case that really has no legs. Now that's the kind of shit that kind of bothers me. Those kind of cases where like I feel like this kid should not. There's no reason for him to have ever been subjected to that. Like you don't have your witness anymore. Like that dude ran back to Mexico. He's gone. So why is this kid still in jail trying to fight a case where y'all don't have nothing on him? Mm-hmm. And that's the shit.
And
those parts
spending our money,
right? Spending our money to try a case that doesn't really
to house them,
right?
For all that time, feed them for all that time,
right? And I think that like again, remember like that bracket, like that shit right there, just that second part to me really affects that third part. Like how you just broke it down, like when it comes to the cop and it comes to the, you know what I mean, that, and then I think this is the part that really fucks up that part.
It's a system. Everybody works together. It's the police, the courts, and then the prison. It's all one big.
Now I'm not privy to this part of it. I don't understand. So maybe you could help me understand. So in his case, he got bail. So he couldn't afford to get bailed, right? In that 3-year period, why are you still in jail though? Is it because he was waiting for a trial date?
Waiting for his trial was going on.
So you could literally dead ass be in jail for 3 years. Now what if? That's the question I always had. So what if he gets found out guilty? What happens to that 3 years he lost? Like what happens there?
Have a nice day. You should have bailed out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a fucked up system, bro.
Wow.
But you gotta remember, right? The criminal justice system, the main goal of the criminal justice system is to identify criminals and inflict punishment.
Okay.
That is their main goal. Then after that, they're also here for rehabilitation. We're also here for counseling, and we're also here for that other shit. You know what I'm saying? But that's their main goal. So they're seeking these people out. They're not even out here patrolling for our safety. We're out here looking for. And you always find what you look for. Or you can always find what you're looking for even if it's not there.
So that's crazy. Right? Like that part of it, that ending part of it where you could be found not guilty of any of those charges, but I just spent 3 years of my life.
I gave you an option to bail out because you wasn't a violent criminal, or because you wasn't a multiple time offender, or because you wasn't and I only gave you $3,000 bail. I could have gave you $30,000 bail.
Now the bail is set by the judge, I assume. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's some type of cap, I believe, depending on what the crime is, and I believe. Don't get me to lie, but yeah, it's the judge.
That's crazy. So now let's get to I want to touch on the jail part of everything now. The numbers of folks of our color skin that are in jail for nonviolent crime. Mm-hmm. Just nonviolent crime. Not even just nonviolent crime. Why are we subjected to harsher sentencing for nonviolent crime?
All right, so I don't know where you got your numbers, so I'm not disputing them. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of those are probably from people that's just waiting for trial and can't afford bail. You know what I'm saying? That's probably half of your numbers right there. They haven't even been convicted of a crime yet. So, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Are those numbers of convicted people or just jailed people?
Jailed people. You
know what I mean? That can be half your number right there. You know what I'm saying? Black and brown, like you said, some people just can't afford it, so they have to sit. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how long you're waiting for your trial. And that's why when
is there a cap on how long you can wait for a trial?
All was it habeas corpus, some shit like that, where we're all have the right to a fair and speedy trial. So they can't just they have to start it, but they could stretch that motherfucker out.
Like they did the old boy.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like I said, there's always
some kind of loophole.
Some type of loophole.
Some bullshit. Now, my question to you is, how do you know how jails became actual, like, part of like a business? Like, how did it? How come? I always wondered why jails weren't owned by the state.
I mean, they have state facilities, you have Fed facilities, like,
and
then you have private facilities.
Right, now those private facilities, how the fuck is that at? Like, how? So you could just wake up one day like, I want to build a jail?
You got the bread, you could do just about anything in America, bro.
I think that should be illegal. I don't think you should be able to own a jail. Like, that's just nuts to me. I think I should be state funded. Like, what are you doing? I mean, even though they're spending, like my numbers say, they're spending 3 times more money on jail than they do in school, on our public school system, and that's already nuts in itself, because the conditions in jail don't look like it need to be worth 3 times more in a public school. Like, so where's that money going then?
So imagine if they didn't have private jails. So there goes your answer right there.
17 times more than public school.
So there goes your answer right there. Like, you know what I'm saying? There have to be certain ways to cut the cost. Like, the state can't pay for everything. You know what I'm saying? I absolutely agree with you. I don't believe there should be private-owned jails, because now we have to keep bodies in that shit. Like,
right, because exactly. Because people in jail is your money, right?
Yeah. They're looking for a refund, you know what I mean, a return on their investment. So them fucking beds that they built, them shits need to be full, so these niggas can get their money. Like, you know what I mean?
That's out of... And you know another question? I don't know if you know the answer. So when you get charged and you're going to jail, and you haven't been convicted yet, so that's Rikers.
I mean, it depends on how long and where. Like, they have the boat here. You can sit in the boat for a minute, depending on how long your joint is. Then you go to Rikers, like, yeah. And
then from there, once you get convicted, that's when you go to the big... All right. Mm-hmm. So then you said there's federal and there's state. Mm-hmm. So usually federal, that's the white-collar crimes. It was like embezzling all kinds of money.
You see Tekashi them niggas in the feds right now, man. Niggas Bobby them niggas in the feds.
They in fed jail.
I believe Bobby them in the feds too, but Tekashi them niggas in the feds, like... When you see them fucking boys come and take a whole block in the town, that's the feds.
When they come in the whole project building and like 90 niggas come down the steps,
that's the feds. Like,
Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like. So that's like the fucking kingpins and.
So it's not just white collar crimes and shit like that, but yeah.
That's fucking nuts. And then my other question about the whole. Part of once you're convicted of the crime and you're in, you've been sentenced, you're in your jail. The part of when you come out of jail needs to be fixed as well. Like, how do you expect? Because I don't know how true this is. So when you come out of jail, you owe like there's this kind of penalties you have to pay back or something to that nature. If I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure, so I'm not even gonna answer yes or no to that. You know what I'm saying?
I think that you have to pay some kind of fines of some sort.
I have no idea.
So if dudes can't get jobs because they're convicted felons, how are they supposed to begin the process of getting their life back, and B, getting out of that kind of debt?
Well, air quotes, there's jobs and opportunities everywhere for convicted felons, because we put these in place so that you can transition when you come out, which we all know is bullshit. I mean, there is a handful, because they have to show
that there are some
that they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Right. But probably 7 out of 10, it's extremely hard for them to get a job, or they wind up having to take some bullshit where the fucking bosses or whatever can just treat them however the fuck they want, because they know them niggas can't do nothing and they need a job. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it puts you in a position where you're coming out and you're still being treated less than when you already
did your time,
served your debt to society. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely agree with that there should be different things put in place, you know what I'm saying, while you're still in prison, to prepare you for your release, number one.
Right.
And then number two, when you get out, just to you know what I mean? Help fucking acclimate you back into society if you're supposed to be acting and being treated like a regular member of society once again. Like, you know what I mean? They say you do the
but
crime,
they
you
leave that
did the time, and you're supposed to be able to come out and be a fucking regular human being again.
right, but they leave that dark cloud over you as a convict. Now, especially if you're a sex offender, you got to register as a sex offender. So that got to go on applications, and it's like you want to change your life. You did your time. You sat however long you sat. Now you're home. You kind of you want life back, but it's like it feels virtually impossible for you to really reconstruct your life depending on the kind of crime you committed. Like I feel like a lot of them don't really are able to really reconstruct back to real life.
I mean, you can. You're just still being judged for what you did, which is fucked up. You know what I'm saying? You can come back to society, but nigga, you're a fucking pedophile, so stay 1,000 feet from over here.
How many 1,000 feet?
I don't know what the footage is, but you know what I mean.
But that
you can always come back,
like,
but
that's it's so of course, like I hate to say it like this, but should you feel bad for a criminal? Everyone makes bad decisions.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Like everyone makes some people.
You're a criminal when you get caught.
Fact. Because 99.9% of people have done some criminal shit that 9 times 10 if you would have got caught, you would be in jail.
So
like,
you know what I mean? You just have
to judge those that got caught,
you
like
have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, I do have to be mindful. You're absolutely right.
Like, I'm not running around saying the serial killer nigga might have been me, but like you know what I'm saying?
Of course, there should be a place for certain folks like that. And you know what's funny? Another part of that same doc I was telling you about. So it was talking about like mental health people that are in jail.
That's a lot of the people in there too.
Right. So they're putting these people in general pop. Like they're not prepared for that kind of lifestyle. So long story short, that
been in there because they needed help, and half the time,
right. So long story short, that kid actually in that story, he killed himself. He hung himself in the jail cell, and it's like, why are you like? It's so many parts of the criminal that just like, what are y'all doing? And they should just go on every day like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like no one is making any steps into like, hey, maybe this something is wrong here. And I don't think until like a high profile person gets into it, like a Meek Mill whose case is out of control because the judge wants him to do a remix of somebody. So like, what you doing? Like, what are you doing? If it's not that kind of case, then it's one of those like swept on the rug kind of things for tons of people.
Yeah.
And to get people like Robert Kraft to actually see like, yo, bro, this system is fucked up, bro. And you probably got money in jail too. Knowing your ass, you probably got some stock in a prison or two. But it's like I just feel like we, as black people mostly and Hispanic people mostly, we gotta really figure out ways to really knock on that criminal justice reform door. Like, all right, time is enough because we all got children, black sons, black daughters, and they're gonna go into the real world, and people are not gonna see them as such. They're gonna see them as monsters, criminals, and we're gonna treat them as such. Like this, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I'm glad you said that because when you was asking me earlier, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Just like everything else, you know what I'm saying? It starts from the kids. Like, we have to teach our kids and these other kids, you know what I'm saying, that this shit is not what's popping, because it's the youth that's going to change anything, and it's going to be them that's affected by it in the long run anyway, you know what I'm saying? So It's really just showing them and letting them understand and letting them see, because, you know what I'm saying, half the time people are naive to the situation, you know what I'm saying, i.e. since you brought up the Robert Kraft nigga, like, until he met this nigga, he has no idea what the fuck type of world we live in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's the same thing with the kids and shit. So if they get an understanding that this is wrong and the system is rigged, then, you know what I'm saying, you can get allies and people that can help you fix it.
The funny you said, because I remember the shit in Florida happened when the mass shooting, I think the school was Parkland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Those kids created like a little like group
Mm-hmm.
about gun reform, and they on some shit. Like
Yeah.
they even had the mayor, I think the governor of Florida, like they was on his ass. Like
So yeah, it starts.
so we got to get the kid
in, but it starts with the youth. Everything. If
You're
we're
right.
gonna talk about change,
and that's why I like a lot.
anything that
I've been reading a lot of
change.
absolutely. I've been reading a lot of tweets about the show when they see us, and I like the fact that I read a lot of tweets that a lot of people were watching it with their children.
Okay,
that's the shit that was like, yo, that's real.
Dope.
Like that's real shit, yo. Like they're not gonna understand it in the short term, but if you break it down to them in a certain kind of way, like yo, like yes, this does still happen, but it's not happening on a scale like. It won't be that quote unquote easy for them to do it like that again.
It won't be as blatant.
Won't be as
even though the shit that's going on is blatant as fuck.
That's a fact, though.
Even though it's blatant
that's
as fuck,
a fact.
it's a lot less blatant than the shit that was going on before.
You're right. And it was funny because I was listening to DL, and he was just mentioning not off topic, but he was mentioning how it was 2 incidents that happened. I don't remember one of them per se, but where a cop had his gun drawn at a dude in a car, and the dude was like, he has a gun. He said, yo, my hands is up. I don't have no gun. You seen that? Like, that's how that mentality right there is like, yo, if you don't teach your kids automatically, like, yo, do not me today. Like, nah, you're not going to do me like that. Because now you get to see how they already planting the seeds. Like I told you, our last episode was called Stop Resisting. Because every time they touch you, the first thing they scream is, stop, like, bro, you just grabbed my hand, bro. Like, come on, fam, stop playing. But I think it all goes full circle. Like we just really need to get our youth involved, let them understand like they can really change the criminal justice system. And you're right, and it's going to take that long process from the 13th Amendment to all the way to the 15th. Like
13th to the 15th, that was just a couple years, but then from the 15th all the way until that,
right,
it was damn near another fucking 100 years.